Part 26. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 251. Outside the mist-shrouded mountain forest, Lu Mubai and the others paced up and down, feeling uneasy. It's been 2 days, how is Lu Muian? Nan looked anxious. He was more worried about Lu Muian's safety, not only because he was interested in her, but also because she could save his mother and concubine. Luo Li's sunny and handsome face showed a bit of decadence. He asked Luo Ye nervously, "Brother, is she still alive?" A day ago, his brother figured out that Lu Muian's breath had disappeared, and their life and death were uncertain, making their hearts sink to the bottom. Luo Ye took the string of Buddha beads and calculated it again, and his frowning brows loosened a lot. She is still alive, and her aura is stronger than before entering the forest at the beginning. I think she has encountered some chance. Hearing him say that, the hearts of others were also relieved a lot. Ye Qinghan has been standing in front of the thick fog, constantly watching the movements in the forest. She'll be fine. Ling Fei Yang sighed and patted Ye Qinghan's shoulder. He knew that Ye Qinghan had a deep affection for Lu Muian, but he couldn't see that affection in his cousin's eyes, and some of them were just concerned about making friends. Ye Qinghan rubbed his brows with a tired look on his face. Well, she'll be fine. Qi Yuxuan's eyes were dark, and there was an endless loss in his heart. A voice in his heart told him that Lu Muian would not die, but the gap between them was getting bigger and bigger. She is surrounded by a lot of the young generation of heaven's favorites. He has faded out of her life. He is extremely remorseful. Why couldn't he cherish her in the first place? It's too late to find out her goodness, her preciousness, after she is lost. Suddenly, a golden light burst out from the thick fog, and everyone looked up and saw Lu Muian Yujian flying over. Muian/Yanner/Lu Muian. Ye Qinghan shouted in unison. Lu Muian drove the sword to the ground. You are all here. Seeing the haggard look on Lu Mubai Junya's face, she felt a little uncomfortable. She went up to hold his arm, and said with a friendly smile, "Brother." Lu Mubai's originally tense face softened a bit, but he sighed helplessly and tapped the tip of her nose. You. It's always annoying enough. Don't be so reckless in the future, do you hear? He then warned with a rare seriousness on his face. Lu Muian rubbed his arm. Listen to my brother. When Luo Li and others saw Lu Muian for the first time, they looked at her curiously with such a young daughter's attitude, and then couldn't help but twitch the corners of her mouth. She should be more violent. If Lu Muian knew the thoughts of several people, he would definitely give them the word cheeky. Muian, are you all right? That evil flood dragon chased you into the forest. We went in to find you, but every time we walked back to the same place. Ye Qinghan's handsome face was full of concern. Lu Muian's eyes were stained with warmth. The evil dragon is already dead. I was injured a little, but I have recovered now. You killed that evil dragon's demon spirit. Helian Li found that the more he got along with Lu Muian, the less he could see through her. Lu Muian rolled his eyes at him. Do you think it's possible? I only have Sword Emperor cultivation, but he has the strength of Sword Master. Although the evil dragon's demon spirit is a 9th rank swordsman equivalent to a human swordsman, but because it has been sealed in a talisman for many years, and it is only a demon soul, its strength is only 8th rank. I think it's possible. Helian Li smiled shyly. He almost thought that the demon was killed by Lu Muian. He was relieved to hear her say that, otherwise they would be compared with her. It's just too much. You really look down on me. Lu Muian smiled. After the evil scorpion entered, he met an octopus monster of the 8th order peak. They wanted to swallow each other, so they both lost, so I picked one up. Cheap. Naturally, it was impossible for her to tell others that the evil flood dragon was devoured by Mo Yan's nether fire. If the evil dragon is not in the state of the soul, the current Mo Yan can't do anything about him. You are so lucky. Helian Li couldn't help laughing. He found that Lu Muian's luck was much better than theirs, and coupled with his excellent talent against the sky, he was really God's darling. Luck is also a part of strength, Luo Li said. Lum Wan smiled lightly, you guys have been guarding here? How's the preliminary round? After she finished speaking, she took out her identity jade card and looked at it, and her ranking dropped to the top 10 again. How can we be in the mood to earn points? Luo Li glared at her. This heartless woman was still thinking about points. Then now that I'm out, we're going to earn points naturally. You rest for a few hours, and we'll set off when it gets dark. She wanted to enter the top 10 in the preliminary round. No one else refuted her opinion, and now that she was safe, their passion for points was rekindled. It is good. In the central castle, the elders of the 6 major sects were relieved when they saw Lum Wan coming out of the second-class danger zone alive, and they were more determined to dig her out of the sect. In the last few days of the preliminaries, although Mo Yan fell into a deep sleep state, Lum Wan's mental strength had recovered, so she led several teams of people to hunt at night and killed many beasts. The points have been skyrocketing, and finally, when her points reached the 3rd place, the melodious bell rang at the end of the preliminary round. The top 1,500 players in the continental tournament must gather in the central city within 3 days to continue the next round of competition. Those who exceed the time will be deemed to have given up the competition automatically and will be sent to the competition space. Remember, not long after the end bell rang, such a message was uploaded on each of them's identity jade. We are only a day away from the central city, so let's rush over now. Luo Ye put away the jade token in his hand and said lightly. Luo Li took out the jade token and looked at it and said, Lum Wan, my brother, Si Nan, and I were ranked 3rd to 6th respectively, but Yan Jun's servant rushed to the 2nd place. The first person never heard of it? It is normal for Yan Jun to rush to the 2nd place. The first person named Chu Han is from a medium-sized country, and he has never heard his name before. It seems that he is another dark horse. Si Nan pondered and said. Helian Lai sighed, there are so many dark horses this year, how can we, the elite teams of veteran powerhouses, live? His ranking is 9th, and this achievement has actually exceeded his expectations. If he hadn't followed Lum Wan to kill the beast horde, he would have been ranked 3rd. Among the top 10, besides Lum Wan and the person named Chu Han, the 10th person is also an unknown small country swordsman, and many unfamiliar names appeared in the top 50, which made him stressed mountain big. Come on, what's there to be dissatisfied with? You've already rushed into the top 10, Ji Xian and the others are still behind you. Luo Li raised his eyebrows and said. Helian Li heard Luo Li's words, and his face showed a bit of a sly smile. That's right, how can you say that? Brother also crushed Ji Xian and the others. Lum Wan gave him a blank look. I don't have the will. She is very satisfied with the 3rd place. With that person named Chu Han as the top bird, she believes that in the 2nd round, she will save a lot of trouble. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 252. The next day, Lum Wan and others arrived at the central city smoothly. After entering the city, the surrounding streets are bustling with people coming and going, especially the swordsmen who are staying in the central city are those who can participate in the 2nd round of the competition. They are naturally very happy, and most of them have smiles on their faces. The difference between the central city and other cities is that the inn will not give special care to the contestants of the superpowers. After all, the swordsmen who can enter the 2nd round of the competition are considered to be the best among the younger generation in this continent. People are dissatisfied. Lum Wan and his party found an inn with an elegant and quiet environment near the city to stay in. If they were replaced by the usual 2 guys who like luxury, Si Nan and Helian Li would not agree. It can be seen that Lum Wan identified this inn, and they could only agree reluctantly, but in the end they also covered most of the yard. After Lum Wan entered the inn, he went to the room and arranged the magic circle. Master, "Are you going to dig out the crystal core of that octopus monster?" Lu Muan asked her as soon as he finished setting up the ice halberd, rubbing against her shoulder. Lu Muan knew that he had been thinking about the crystal core of the monster for a long time, so he took out the body of the octopus in a funny way, but the ice on it had not yet thawed. She casually threw a cluster of purple gold spirit fire down, and the ice on the octopus monster slowly melted. She looked thoughtfully at the pool of water that was made of ice in the ground. What kind of cultivation did the meditation achieve? This kind of UN force condensing into ice is not something that ordinary sword sect powerhouses can do. Seeing the look of Bingji, she couldn't help but smile, stretched out her hand and took out the crystal nucleus next to the octopus monster's heart and threw it directly to him. "Take it for refining." Bingji held the crystal nucleus in his mouth, and his eyes were touched with emotion. The little master went to the deep pool to save him regardless of his life and death, and now he gave him such a precious crystal core. He originally thought of breaking the seal and going to his own dashing ice halberd, and suddenly made up his mind to follow Lu Muan well in the future. Following such a mysterious and powerful master has a future, and the most important thing is that the little master is too generous. "Master, Meow Meow is hungry." Meow Meow looked at the crystal core of the 8th order monster in Bingji's mouth with a bit of envy in her eyes, but she would not be jealous. The master did everything right. Lu Muan touched her head affectionately, took out a few 6th order monster beast crystal nuclei and put them in her hands to swallow. "It is not suitable for you and the strength of blood to swallow high-level crystal nuclei. Wait until you advance to 7th order monster beast. I'll go get the 7th or 8th order crystal core for you to refine." Meow Meow likes the master the most. The little white snake swallowed a crystal nucleus and rubbed against Lu Muan. The crystal nucleus is not as attractive to the cannibal Bloodthorn Vine King as blood. Since the last time, he has transformed into a string of wooden bracelets and hung on Lu Muan's wrist. "Master, you will get more blood from high-level swordsmen in the future." "I'll just taste it." In the competition space, he absorbed a lot of blood of high-level monsters, and he already felt the barrier to promotion. If he was sucking the blood of some sword masters, he believed that he would soon be able to break through. Lu Muan rolled his eyes at him and warned, "Don't think about drinking human blood all the time. Unless you are a wicked person or my enemy, you are not allowed to go out to suck human blood, or I will throw you there." Desert to be with cacti. Shue's body froze, and he froze in desperation. As per your order, the little master's words always counted, and he didn't want to go to the desert area where birds don't lay eggs for company with cacti. "Although I prefer fresh blood, it is not bad to have a crystal nucleus for refining," so the few spirit pets went to refine the monster beast crystal nucleus with peace of mind. There was a smile in Lu Muan's eyes, and life was not so boring after receiving these pets. Early the next morning, the people from the Dan building delivered the spirit grass she needed to the inn. The efficiency was very high, and she was satisfied. She remembered the information from the Phoenix bracelet before, took out 100-year-old spirit grass and put it in the mysterious ice box. When her mind moved, a green mist of spiritual power overflowed from her palm and poured into the box, and then sealed it. If this herb is successful, she will make a profit, and she will basically not worry about the high-year spiritual herb in the future when refining medicinal herbs. A few spirit pets prefer to eat medicinal pills compared to the crystal nucleus, but the medicinal pills she refined have been almost consumed in the previous beast horde. This time, the spirit herbs were replenished, and she spent 2 days refining them. Making pills. Another day later, there were constant knocks outside her door, and she put the last pill in the bottle. She opened the door and saw Luoli's handsome face with bright sunshine. "Are you concocting pills?" Luoli smelled a scent of pills as soon as he walked to the door. Lu Muan nodded. "The previous medicinal pills are all used up, so I need to refine some for spare." Luoli twitched the corners of her mouth when she remembered that every time she swallowed the pills like eating candy, remembered the business and said with a smile, "Let's go to the central square." "Why go to the central square?" You didn't receive the news from the Jade card, Luo Li asked in surprise. He also came to knock on the door when Lum Wen hadn't appeared, but he didn't expect that she didn't know about it. Lum Wen didn't pay attention to the alchemy before, but now she took out the Jade token and found out that the organizer of the competition had notified him that half an hour later, he would gather in the central square to announce the next round of competition. Let's go. When they arrived at the central square, it was already full of people and it was very lively. Lum Wen and others found a remote corner and stood there. She looked around and found many powerful groups. The elite teams of superpowers are generally not just one group, just like Luo Ye and Si Nan, there are 2 other teams in their countries, and their strength is not bad. As soon as the notification time came, a loud voice sounded in the central square. You are all swordsmen from various countries who have passed the preliminary round of this continental contest. Congratulations here. As soon as his voice fell, everyone saw a middle-aged man in white appear in Lingkong. He continued with a faint smile, but don't be proud, because the next 2 rounds are the key to whether you can stand out. The top 10 in the first round will be rewarded with Jade medals. The information will be sent to your 10 identity Jade medals later, which will be redeemed at the end of the second round. The second round of the Continental Championship is the rematch, which will officially start tomorrow and last for 5 months. During these 5 months, you can use the ample space in this room to cultivate and improve your strength, or you can directly snatch the Identity Jade card. After 5 months, the Identity Jade card will remind you of the end time, and then the 7-color Identity Jade card will be in your hands. The most 500 people go to the final round of finals. Of course, what I'm talking about is not just quantity, but also quality. The person with the most green, orange, purple, and 3-color Jade cards will naturally rank high in the second round. As usual, the point system is used, and the entire competition rules will pass the formation method. Send it to your Identity Jade card. By the way, as a reminder, those who rush into the top 10 of the standings in the rematch still have rewards, and they are very generous, and they will be distributed to you later. I won't say more. I wish you all good results. We will see you in 5 months. After the middle-aged man in white finished speaking, he turned around and disappeared into the central square, and the originally quiet square also exploded in an instant. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 253. After returning to the inn, the identity badges of Lum Wen and others kept flashing, and the competition organizer sent the information one after another through the formation. This rematch actually takes 5 months. It seems that we have to improve our strength as soon as possible, Helian Li said while looking at the Jade card. In addition to the possibility of being selected by the 6 major factions and winning glory for the Empire, there is also a great advantage of coming to the competition space, which is that the spiritual energy here is very abundant and the resources are also very rich. The speed of training in this space is basically twice as fast as outside, so each competition will leave a period of time for swordsmen of various countries to cultivate and improve their strength. I didn't expect to be rewarded with a purple Jade card when entering the top 10. It's not bad. Luo Li flipped through the information and said. Lum Wen set his sights on the top 10 rewards for the final rematch points. Unexpectedly, they were all spiritual creatures. The strength of the competition organizer is really strong. For the top 10 rewards, I have to fight, she said with a smile and put away the Jade card. Hearing her ambition, other people's eyelids couldn't help but jump. The second round of competition is not to kill monsters, but to use the night to find beast tides. They have to face more than 1,000 geniuses from the younger generation. Army head. You're thinking about the top 10 again? The top 10 in the rematch is not so easy to get into. Helian Li shrugged, his goal was to rush into the top 50. Loom Wan glanced at him, if you don't have any prospects, you can only do it if you dare to think about it. You don't even dare to think about it, you might as well just give up. In the top 10 rewards, there are two kinds of spiritual things that Mo Yan and Xue Xue need to increase their strength, and she is bound to win. Hearing her indifferent tone with bold words, the expressions of others changed, especially Helian Li. There was something unpleasant in his heart. Loom Wan dared to think about it, why didn't he dare? So this is the biggest gap between them. Shameless. How about we compare who rushes to the top 10 in this rematch? Last time, he was only ranked 6th by Si Nan, and this time he must find his way back. Si Nan's face was calm, and he raised his eyebrows condescendingly, come here, I will be afraid of you. The two attacked each other again, and Luoya interrupted with a light cough, are we still going out together in the rematch? He was sure that if so many of them set off together, the other teams would definitely run away when they saw them, and they wouldn't be able to grab many jade cards at all. The others he was thinking of also thought of it, but it was difficult to open his mouth. After all, it was Loom Wan's team and Yeking Han's team who were the main ones holding back. Of course, they didn't mean to dislike it either. If Loom Wan still let him act together, they wouldn't object. Loom Wan saw their thoughts and entanglements, smiled and said, let's act separately. First, we can let the enemy relax our vigilance, and secondly, we don't have to worry about grabbing too many identity jade badges. Then how to split up? Luo Li asked. He and Si Nan actually didn't want to be separated from Loom Wan, but judging from the current situation, it seems that they can't be separated. We're with my cousin and their group, and you four groups should be separated separately. Loom Wan thought about it and suggested. Then she added, of course, you have to join forces to snatch other people. Anyway, those who hold jade cards of the same color cannot snatch each other for the first 4 months. Then we won't be separated for the first 4 months, Luo Li said. Loom Wan rolled his eyes at him, how can we compete for the jade medal with you? The elite teams of those big countries don't dare to take it lightly when they see you, so how will you be in the top 10? Luo Ji had a black line, and their feelings were still like they were dragging her down. Those elite teams from big countries are not easy to deal with. You may be in danger alone. Si Nan raised a key question. Loom Wan raised her eyebrows, we didn't come into the competition space to hide behind you and get a place. How can we see a rainbow without experiencing wind and rain? That's not what I meant. It was also mentioned in the jade card information just now. If anyone steals the top 10 jade cards in the preliminary round, the rewarded jade cards will also become theirs. We are afraid that someone will deal with you, specially Si Nan. She smiled smugly, and there was a hint of worry on her handsome face. Loom Wan's strength is really good, but she relies too much on the formation. If someone drags her to seal, it will be in danger. I can't ask for it, I'm afraid they won't find me. Loom Wan took a sip from the teacup confidently, the high-end spirit tea tasted fragrant. The last time she saw this kind of spirit grass in the list of Danlu, she bought some at a high price. Hearing his words, everyone was speechless, and even they had to admit that she was definitely a troublemaker, and she caused trouble wherever she went. The two teams of them really need life and death experience. It's better to be separated. Luo Ye, who had been silent for a while, suddenly spoke up. When you enter the competition space, you can't be greedy and fear death. It is necessary to cherish the resources you can enjoy and improve your strength as soon as possible. If they form a team together, the danger they encounter will be reduced a lot, and they will not have much experience. Yeking Han was also in favor of separation, not just because of his rival, but also because he wanted to become stronger. Only in times of tension and danger can human potential be realized. We agreed to separate. Seeing that they all said this, Luo Li and Si Nan could not propose to form a team again, Then let's separate the 4 groups. They got together because of Lum Wan. Now that Lum Wan is going to be separated, they naturally don't think about being tied together. Lum Wan took out a few bottles of medicinal pills from the space ring and threw them to a few people. You can keep these medicinal pills for spare, we will see you in 5 months. Don't be too far behind, she then stood up and added. The corners of Sinan's mouth twitched. Where did this woman get so much confidence? Don't worry, we will never let you surpass her. If the teams from the 2 small and medium-sized countries are grouped together, it will make the elites of the 4 major countries suffer. Then let's wait and see. Lum Wan's face was dyed with confidence, and she smiled beautifully. Her confident smile is the most attractive, which is the resonance in the hearts of Luo Li and others. Lum Wan, I hope to see your name in the top 10 of the standings in 5 months. Luo Li quickly hugged Wan downstairs and let go, just a hug and encouragement from a friend. Lum Wan patted Luo Li on the shoulder, little wildcat, come on, we will compare to the top 30 who have the most people. Compare it, Luo Xian felt numb in his heart, and then asked, are you going to practice first or grab the jade first? Why don't you ask? It must be cultivated first. Even if you go to grab the jade card now, you probably won't see a few figures. That's right, then you take care. You too. Early the next morning, the group was divided into 5 teams to leave the central city and began their journey to the rematch. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 254. Because of the influence of the Black Iron City Wall, the aura of the City of Refuge was not as abundant as in the mountains and dense fields outside. Therefore, the swordsmen who entered the semi-finals left the city to find a quiet environment to practice. Lum Wan and the 2 teams were also looking for a suitable place to practice after they left the city. Mu Yan, where are we going to practice? Ye King Han asked curiously when she saw her looking around. Lum Wan touched his chin, and after pondering, he would say, look for a place with the strongest spiritual energy. I think I have found it. Come with me. Without Mo Yan, it would be more troublesome for her to use her spiritual power to find her. Although the spiritual power of the mountains and forests in the outside world was abundant, it was not as strong as the place where the evil flood dragon chased her last time. There is a lot of spiritual energy near the deep pool. There are no high-level monsters around the territory that the octopus monster has occupied for a long time. Where it is classified as a second-class dangerous place, the monitoring of the large array cannot detect it, and the secret is strong. In addition, other participating personnel generally do not set foot in dangerous areas to practice, so it is the safest for them to go. When Lum Wan brought a few people to the dense fog forest before, Yunzimo said in surprise, isn't this the second-class danger zone? The most dangerous place is also the safest place. I was chased by the evil scorpion into a deep pool. The place where he and the octopus monster lost both sides is full of spiritual energy, which is very suitable for our hidden cultivation. Lum Wan smiled back. Her choices are generally not wrong, and everyone believes in her. Okay, I will listen to you. So Lum Wan took the group to the deep pool occupied by the octopus monster. Sure enough, because of the deterrence of the octopus monster before, there are no other monsters in the vicinity now. The frozen ice in the deep pool still showed no sign of melting, and Lum Wan had to feel the change/state of Mingxiu when he saw it. For the safety of the 2 teams, she took out the last batch of jade and arranged a 9-palace formation. From the outside, they could not detect their breath. If someone or monsters forced their way in, they would be lost in the formation. In the law. Afterwards, a batch of jade stones needed to arrange the formation was buried in a place with deep spiritual energy. The spiritual energy here is indeed much more abundant than outside, Mu Yi said with a smile. Shi Feng didn't have much expression on his face, and his eyes were filled with joy. The territory occupied by the 8th Order monsters will naturally not be bad. It happened that there was a barren mountain near the deep pool. The group opened a cave in the barren mountain and lived there, preparing to speed up their cultivation for 3 months before going out to grab the jade metal. Time passed in a hurry. A month later, Lum Weian's cultivation level was upgraded to the middle-level Sword Emperor, and the foundation building stage was also in the late stage. When the Sword Emperor's peak was reached, he believed that the foundation building would also reach great consummation. Because of her special physique, she can perceive all the laws of heaven and earth, so even if her cultivation speed is 1 or 2 times faster than others, her promotion speed will also be affected. She probed her mental power into the spirit beast ring and found that Mo Yan was wrapped in a large net of blue flames at this time, and her breath was sometimes strong and weak. She thought that she was still refining the octopus monster. Master, after staying in the cave for so long, let's go out and look for the spirit grass. Bingji urged Lum Weian's cultivation base to be promoted to the first rank and knew that she would not practice anymore. Lum Weian glanced at him. I really doubt how you cultivated your 8th order cultivation. I'm a genuine 8th order, of course I have talent. Bingji raised his head proudly. As a lazy person like you only want to go out for a walk all day, and then continue to upgrade to the 9th rank with blood and meow meow, you are still standing still. Bingji's temperament is very active, and he can't sit still at all. It is good to let him practice in the cave for a month. Lum Weian really can't understand how he used to cultivate to the 8th rank. Bingji pouted and muttered in a low voice, isn't it very tiring for me to be locked away by your man's demon power? Don't make excuses. Lum Weian reached out and tapped him on the head. The seal of meditation suppresses the demon power in your body. Although it is more difficult for you to cultivate now, it can make the demon power in your body more pure. Wait for the seal to be released. It's better for you when you drive. You'd better practice hard, otherwise when meow meow and blood surpass you, I'll see where your old face will go. Lum Weian knew that this kind of blow would be more effective for the face-loving Bingji. Sure enough, Bingji's small eyes swept across meow meow and Swexu, as if they were beaten with chicken blood. Master, I will continue to practice now. They want to surpass me, but there is no way. He has been suppressed by Mo Yan. If those two goods are surpassing him, it will be a shame. Lum Weian rolled his eyes at him. Let's go out for a walk first, and by the way, get some crystal cores and come back for you to refine. Little master is the best, then I will come back and practice again. Bingji rubbed her head against Lum Weian's shoulder. Little brat, meow meow snorted. Shue Shue also agreed with the response, flattering mad. What do you two children know? Humph, Bingji snorted. Lum Weian was too lazy to pay attention to them, and saw that Lum Yubai and others were still meditating and cultivating, so they went out alone. There must be something special about this mountain forest being classified as a second-class dangerous place. There is absolutely no shortage of spirit grasses and spirits. Now that she has recovered her mental strength, she can do it if she needs to find her own way. After leaving the cave house opened by the barren mountain, she blessed the formation again before plunging towards the depths. 5 days later, a purple figure fled in a little embarrassment, followed by a group of monsters the size of a wasp. Seeing a stream in front of him, Lum Weian jumped down without hesitation. The large group of monsters that looked like wasps were a little afraid of water, and wandered around the stream for a day before gradually leaving. Lum Weian got out of the water and looked at the direction in which the monsters were leaving. His eyes were a bit fiery. I'll pick you up when the game is almost over. Master, you have nothing to stab at the red honeycomb. Bingji was stung by several big bags, and complained with a bad look on his face. Naturally, I want to dig out the red honey, but I want something. Lum Weian's face showed a bit of interest, and don't you think it would be cool to have a bee colony like this? If she hadn't had Shunpo and all kinds of means to escape, she would have been trapped in those red wasps' nests. Bingji rolled his eyes. Things are good, but you have to take them with your life. It is not easy to subdue such a swarm of red bees. He felt that Lum Wen was purely whimsical. Although the queen of that red bee swarm is only a 7th order monster, but it can breed countless 5th or 6th order red bee swarms, let alone subduing it, it is difficult to approach. I know, so this is not going to wait for the strength to improve. The heat in Lum Wen's eyes did not subside but became stronger. Bingji couldn't help twitching the corners of her mouth when she saw the heat in her eyes. The master's hobby is really weird. Lum Wen was about to rest for a while, but suddenly turned his attention to not far away. There's a fight ahead, let's go over and take a look. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 255. Lum Wen felt the aura of human swordsmen and monsters. After a while, the fight ended not far away, and she hooked her lips to speed up the pace. She didn't want to take part in the competition, she just wanted to see if she could pick up some cheap jade badges. When approaching that place, she hid her figure and slowly touched it. Crossing a jungle, the lake with beautiful scenery is in front of the eyes, and the trees are reflected in the lake at sunset, sparkling. It's just that such a beautiful and quiet scenery was broken by a few people beside the lake. In front of her, a man in red, who could not see her face behind her back, lay motionless on the ground, and around him were 5 other men who were also immobile. The most important thing is that a tall and burly woman stretched out her claws to the man in red. Lum Wen couldn't help twitching the corners of her mouth, and asked Bingji, who had been stunned, "Is that girl a monster?" Bingji shuddered, "It is indeed a tigress, that man is so miserable, he was molested like that." Although Lum Wen couldn't see the man's face clearly, he could still feel his anger, thinking that it was designed by the tigress. "Beauty, just let the old lady enjoy it." The burly woman rubbed her hands with a wretched look on her face. Lum Wen stroked her forehead. It was the first time she had seen a woman so unrestrained, even though she was a monster. "I'm afraid that man won't be able to stand up again in the future." Bingji couldn't bear to look directly, and felt sympathy for that man. Lum Wen didn't want to look at the spring/gong too, and was about to leave, but looked at the man's red clothes that looked very much like Ming Xiu and held back his feet. "Want to eat the crystal core of the 7th order monster?" She raised her eyebrows and looked at the ice halberd. Bingji swallowed, "I want to eat." "The tigress is handed over to you." Lum Wen ripped the ice halberd off his shoulder and threw it out. "It's just to hone your fighting ability, let alone an 8th order monster that you can't even beat a 7th order monster. If you can't win, don't come back." As soon as Bingji flew, just as he was about to fly away, he heard Lum Wen's words, so he could only follow the trajectory of the master and flew over. "But my demon power has been sealed." He didn't want to fight a tigress. What if the tigress took a fancy to him? Lum Wen hooked her lips and smiled, "But you are always only an 8th order monster. If you can't beat this, you can really die." The threat in his tone made Bingji shudder. "Who?" Suddenly a UFO sprang out, and the burly woman who had torn off the red-clothed man's clothes raised her head fiercely and said kindly. Bingji can only bite the bullet and stand firmly in the air, with her small head raised, with disdain in her eyes. "You tigress really loses the face of our monsters, and you still use force against men. Humph, where is the thief parrot that dared to shut up the old lady's business, and when the old lady is done, she will bake you." Obviously, Bingji is a weak chicken in the eyes of the burly woman. "Bingji, you really lost your face as a divine beast. Don't say I'm your master when you go out in the future." Lu Mu's voice transmission added fuel to the fireworks. "Meow Meow," replied, "that stinky bird is a wine bag and rice bag. Master, don't expect him to show that tigress." "That's right, maybe it will really be roasted by the tigress." Blood also joined in the fun. Bingji blushed suddenly, and he was deeply despised by his teammates. "Humph, you tigress is bullying this beautiful man." Bingji's anger turned into his body, and a brilliant and beautiful ice luan giant bird appeared in the air. The burly woman who was originally disapproving suddenly lit up, "Mythical beast. Immediately, he smacked his mouth regretfully. It's a pity that only the sixth order can't change into a human form. Go and play, don't hinder me from enjoying beautiful men. You shameless tigress, watch the young master come to punish the wicked. Bingji didn't want to be looked down upon by Meow Meow and Swexu, but he wanted to be the second child. Then, with a wave of the wings, countless ice cones immediately attacked the woman. The burly woman was in a very bad mood when she was discouraged. She raised her head and roared, and waved her fists directly to meet the countless ice picks. The ice pick shattered inch by inch in the woman's air-shattering demon power fist, and finally disappeared into powder. Bingji squinted his eyes. This tigress really has some skills. Bingji, cause her to be beaten elsewhere, Lum Wan said through a voice transmission. If you win, I will refine a 4th grade medicinal pill for you to take. Bingji was reluctant at first, but when he heard the 4th grade medicine pill, he suddenly scolded the woman. You tigress is old and ugly. Ah! I'm going to tear you apart. The blow of the ice halberd obviously angered the tigress. The ice halberd snorted loudly, spread her wings and flew towards the opposite side of the lake. The woman turned her head and turned into a giant yellow striped tiger and chased after it. Lum Wan climbed out of the grass, blinked her eyes and said to herself, it's really a tigress. She could feel that the other party was a 7th order monster, but she couldn't tell what the original form was. Seeing the woman transformed into a striped tiger, she couldn't help feeling sympathy for the man in red. Seeing that his red clothes reminded her of meditation, she decided to save him from the clutches of a tigress. Seeing that Bingji and the tigress had long since disappeared, she quickly walked to the man in red and crouched down to see why they couldn't move. The goal of entry was a handsome face that was more feminine than Sinan, and was full of evil spirits. The gorgeous red brocade clothes tightly wrapped his sturdy but not burly body. The neckline was torn open by the previous woman. The scenery inside was looming, a pair of seductive peach blossom eyes under the stylish sword brows, and a half-shaped eye under the erect nose. The open crimson lips are extremely sexy. At this time, his face was pale and his eyes were scarlet, thinking that he was angry because he was almost indecently assaulted just now. Lum Wan rolled her eyes inwardly. She was indeed a beauty, no wonder that tigress started impatiently. However, she has seen countless beautiful men, and most of the beautiful men she has met around her. She was just astonished and her eyes narrowed. Although this man is evil and handsome, he is still a step behind Mingxiu. She saw that the man looked at her with surprise and slight embarrassment in her eyes, and a shallow smile appeared on her lips. I'll see if you can still be saved. Knowing that the man couldn't speak, she put her hand on his wrist to feel the pulse. She thought it was just poisoning. Who knew that this man was actually sick? No wonder he was subdued by the tigress with his strength. I'll detoxify you first, but this medicine pill is not given for nothing. You will have to pay me after you regain your freedom. Lum Wan took out a white porcelain bottle and poured out a medicine pill before shaking it in front of the man. He says. The man blinked his peach blossom eyes to indicate that it was okay. Lum Wan squeezed his chin and fed one, and then walked to the other people and let them eat a 3rd grade Xingling pill. It only took a few breaths of time for the poison that the tigress had on several people to unravel. The man detoxified and couldn't help spitting out a mouthful of blood. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world. BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 256. Lum Wan turned around and saw the man in red spurting blood on the ground. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them, the expression in his eyes was all restrained. His face was pale with a bit of pain. He took out a silk handkerchief and wiped the blood on his lips, looked up at Lum Wan and smiled reluctantly. Thank you, Miss Lu, today. Lum Wan raised her eyebrows. Do you know me? Who does Miss Lu and Chu Han's name know now? The dark horses who rush into the top 5 are naturally particularly interesting. Yan Jun didn't expect that his embarrassment would be seen by this woman, but for the sake of her saving him, the killing intent in his heart was gradually suppressed. "What's your name?" Lum Wan felt that this man's breath was a little familiar. She should have encountered it before, but she didn't remember much. Yan Jun sat up laboriously, coughed sharply for a while, and said slowly, "Yan Jun. It turns out that you are Yan Jun, who ranked second in the preliminary round." Lum Wan's eyes flashed lightly. Yan Jun comes from the Yan family of the superpower, and is one of the top refining families in the entire Tianling continent. His status is nobler than that of the Prince of the Empire, and his person is unfathomable. This is the news she got when Sinan and Luo Li mentioned Yan Jun. Laughing, Yan Jun's pale face was covered with blue and purple, and his breathing was a little short. He hurriedly took out an elixir and swallowed it, and his breathing gradually stabilized. "You pill for treating heart disease can cure the symptoms but not the root cause." Lum Wan looked at Yan Jun with darkening eyes. Yan Jun raised his head sharply to look at Lum Wan, and asked weakly after a while, "Are you a pharmacist?" "That's right." Lum Wan nodded. "There are pharmacists and alchemists in this continent. Pharmacists mainly focus on curing diseases, but they are not good at refining medicinal pills. Pharmacists are also divided into grades. There are a lot of low-grade pharmacists on the mainland. Basically, every family has a pharmacist, and there are very few pharmacists above the 3rd rank. They are the targets of the major forces. After all, swordsmen will also have hidden illnesses, and they will also encounter poisoning and sudden illnesses, so they need pharmacists to treat them. Of course, there are also people who are both alchemists and pharmacists, but they are even rarer, such as her." After Yan Jun took the medicine pill, the blue and purple color on his face gradually faded, and after a while, he looked at her and said, "Do you know that I have a heart attack because I just got my pulse?" The fact that he has a heart disease is not a big secret among the senior family members. After all, his father, as the head of the family, often invites high-level pharmacists to treat him at home, but Lum Wan from a small country cannot know these secrets. This woman always gave him a sense of mystery. Maybe she was not necessarily a pharmacist. "Of course, your heart disease is born, and it's caused by your mother taking some kind of drug when she was pregnant." Lum Wan's face was very serious. Yan Jun showed surprise in his eyes, pursed his lips and said, "I didn't expect Miss Lu's medical skills to be so brilliant." "Girl, can you heal my young master?" Suddenly an ordinary-looking man behind Yan Jun looked at Lum Wan and asked eagerly. Yan Jun never thought that Lum Wan could cure his stubborn illness. After all, the 4th-grade pharmacists were helpless. How could she, a teenage girl, treat her? Just listening to his teammate's question, he couldn't help but feel hope in his heart. Even if it was very small, he didn't want to give up. Lum Wan considered the pros and cons of treating Yan Jun, and she found that it was not bad to let this man with a deep background owe her a big favor. Before she left, Yanzhou Kingdom always gave her a feeling that the storm was about to come. If she recruited a few more talented elites who were highly valued by the superpowers, it would definitely be beneficial to the safety of the Lu family. "Actually, it is not difficult to heal your heart disease," Lum Wan said truthfully. "Luo, yes, blindness needs to be cured by finding several very rare spirit herbs with drops combined with gold needles. In fact, Yan Jun's heart disease can only be cured by using the repairing green mist in his danchan with gold needles. It doesn't take too long. Yan Jun's heart disease was born from his mother's womb. In fact, it was mainly because of drugs that his heart could not stand the baptism of Yuan Li. If he is a normal person or a low-level sword master, he will not cause serious heart disease, but as long as he cultivates above the Sword King, his heart defects will be exposed. The higher the cultivation level, the greater the chance of him getting sick. If he can't control the repair of his heart, when he reaches the Sword Sovereign cultivation level, he might even lose his life." Yan Jun didn't believe her words in his heart, but he didn't show his expression. He narrowed his seductive peach blossom eyes and asked with a smile, "Miss Lu, can you tell me about my symptoms?" No one else knew about his symptoms when he fell ill, and he never said it, but he wanted to see if she was really capable. When your cultivation base has not yet reached the Sword King, the disease will occur at most once a year, and each time you will feel a fast heartbeat and pain. When the cultivation base reaches the Sword King, the frequency of the disease will increase to once every 3 months. And that pain turned into colic. Lum Wan looked at him with a half smile but continued, "Your cultivation is growing, and the number of illnesses has also increased. Judging from your current appearance, you should have an illness once or twice a month, especially when it is severe every time. 2 or 3 days after the fight, you're bound to experience a life-threatening angina." Seeing Yan Jun's beautiful eyes and pupils shrinking, she added, "Every time you have a disease, you have difficulty breathing, your whole body can't raise your energy, your Yuan Li can't run in your body, and your face will gradually turn blue and purple. If you don't take it in time to control, you will have a short-term shock with the medicine for the disease. The most important point is that the angina pectoris will be relieved a lot when you are sick now, but it will take a few days to recover as before each time you get sick." Lum Wan slightly raised her eyebrows and said, "I don't know if what I said is accurate." Yan Jun's expression did not change, his eyes were calm, but the hand tightly clasped under his sleeve still revealed his restlessness at this time. Ms. Lu is absolutely right. If he wanted to say that he was not shocked, it would be a lie. Even the 4th-grade pharmacist who treated him couldn't describe his symptoms so accurately. At this time, he couldn't help but feel, "I believe she really has ink in her chest. Why do you have to fight so hard? Don't you know that the higher your cultivation level is, the more serious your heart disease will actually be? When you reach Sword Sovereign, maybe it's time for you to return to the West," Lum Wan said bluntly. Yan Jun showed a bit of a wry smile, "There are some things that I can't choose how I want." Lum Wan didn't ask much. She knew that the battles in the big family were very complicated, and even a single blow could endanger her life. Yan Jun knew the danger and continued to practice desperately. Naturally, he had his reasons. Also, in addition to resources and status, identity and background also give responsibility and freedom. Lum Wan nodded in understanding. Yan Jun's eyes showed a bit of strangeness, and he obviously did not expect Lum Wan to say such profound words. After all, judging from the information he found, their Lu family was only a small family, and the Lu family loved her very much since she was a child. She should not understand the intrigue of those big families. Then what Miss Yulu means, "Can you treat my heart disease?" This is what he cares most about. "My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant." Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 257. Then what Miss Yulu means, "Can you treat my heart disease?" Lum Wan smiled and said, "Of course you can. If you have any conditions, you can open it." Yan Jun's peach blossom eyes contained a firm look, even if there was only a 1% chance, he didn't want to let it go. Lum Wan raised her eyebrows, "Are you sure I will help you heal? Since you have admitted that you can cure yourself, you must have already made a decision. It only depends on whether the things I give can make your heart move." Yan Jun is a smart person, so he dared to conclude that Lum Wan would help him with the treatment. "You can climb down the pole." Lum Wan chuckled, "Before we discuss the treatment of your heart disease, should we talk about the reward for rescuing you from the tigress just now?" When he mentioned that tigress, Yan Jun's face turned dark instantly. This was a stain on his life. If it wasn't for Lum Wan just now, although he had the best card to not let the monster be forced, the price he had to pay would be very high. "What kind of payment do you want?" Lum Wan asked for a reward before detoxifying them. At that time, he promised that he would not go back on his word, not to mention that he also counted on her to treat himself, although he had little hope. "Give it to Lingxi directly," Lum Wan said generously. "The spiritual stones in her hands are pitifully small now. I heard that the auction in the central city will be held in 3 months, so she should prepare some spiritual stones anyway. Yan Jun's eyes got a bit of a smile. Just Lingxi, such a requirement is indeed a little lower. Well, I want Lingxi, how much do you want? Lum Wan nodded. Yan Jun thought about it and said, how about giving you 10,000 low-grade spirit stones? The sword master under Jianzun, 10,000 spirit stones can be regarded as a huge wealth. Ro. Lum Wan felt that the remuneration given by Yan Jun was still quite high. After all, Mutan spent 2,000 spirit stones to buy the black crystal diamond, and he was distressed to death. This is the gap between the elite disciples of the superpower families. Then can we talk about healing now? Yan Jun said with a smile. Although his face was still pale, he couldn't hide the evil spirit. Mingxiu occasionally shows evil spirits, but he and Yan Jun are two completely different types of people, and their temperament is very different. Okay, it's just for the treatment of heart disease, it's trivial. Lum Wan waved his hand indifferently. For her, it is really trivial to treat diseases that can be cured without alchemy with spirit herbs, but it turned sour in Yan Jun's ears. The face of the man who had asked Lum Wan before changed, and he couldn't help but regret whether he was too reckless just now, and even believed that a teenage girl could cure the young master. The corner of Yan Jun's mouth twitched. How could Lum Wan's tone be so rude? The hope that rose from the bottom of her heart is about to dissipate. For a disease that even a 4th-grade pharmacist can't cure, she, an incompetent pharmacist, is afraid that her mouth is more powerful. Then I'll trouble the girl Lu. I don't know what I'm going to prepare. Yan Jun thought about it and prepared to give it a try. Anyway, there would be no loss. He had a good impression of Lum Wan. Lum Wan could see that a few people didn't believe it, but she didn't bother to explain that she had always been an activist. You don't need to prepare anything, I'll just do it. Lum Wan's face was light. The suspicion and disappointment in Yan Jun's heart were even stronger, but he still asked with a smile on his face, then I don't know what kind of compensation Mrs. Lu needs. I can prepare. How much do you think your life is worth? I want a spirit stone and a favor. Although Lum Wan was somewhat interested in the spirit tools refined by the Yan family, the spirit stone was more useful to her now. Yan Jun's eyes changed, and the corners of his lips raised. Yes, if you can really cure my heart disease, I will pay you 100,000 low-grade spirit stones and a favor within my power. 100,000 spirit stones are also a huge expense for him, but it can be within the range he can bear. That is, the cultivation resources for the next few years are used in advance. If it can be exchanged for recovery, it will be worth it. Refreshing. Then it settled. Lum Wan's eyes narrowed into crescent-shaped smiles, indicating that she was in a good mood. Yan Jun really deserves to be the young master of the top family in the superpower. He has 100,000 spirit stones at the first shot. I am afraid that there are not so many spirit stones shared by many families. Do you want a contract? I don't have the contract in my hand, but I can buy it in the central city. Yan Jun asked with a smile. The contract is a kind of contract stone refined by the magician. After the text is engraved, both parties confirm with blood. If there is any violation, they will be punished by the laws of heaven and earth. No need, the trouble of going back and forth, since I dare to come out to save you, I will naturally trust you. Lum Wan is not afraid of Yan Jun's repayment. She is both a pharmacist and an alchemist. If Yan Jun is cured, the other party will only want to win her over, but not because of the 100,000 spirit stones. After wandering around in the world of immortals for so long, she still sees people very accurately. Yan Jun's face showed a bit of joy, and the feelings that people believed were really good. Okay, then I don't know when we will start the treatment. How long will it take? Any time, about 3 days. Lum Wan said a conservative time. In fact, with the powerful repairing green mist in her dantian, Yan Jun's heart can be repaired in 1 day, but in order not to be so amazing, she decided to treat it in 3 days. After listening to her words, everyone was not happy but disappointed. 4th grade pharmacists are not good at curing diseases. She only needs 3 days, and she doesn't need to prepare other things. Miss Lu, aren't you making fun of us? One of them couldn't help but said. Lum Wan could understand their disbelief, but she didn't like others to question her. Her smiling face sank, and she snorted coldly, "Love will die." After he finished speaking, he turned around and went to see if the stink bird Fiji had settled the tigress. Don't let his spiritual pet be tainted by the tigress in order to save a stranger. Seeing her angry, Yan Jun turned around and left. His eyelids jumped. This woman really can't be provoked. The man who asked Lum Wan had a very ugly face, and he didn't know what to say. Even if I really don't believe that she can save people, I can't help but want to try, otherwise I'll be unwilling. Their young master is the soul of their lineage. If he has an accident, they will not have a way to survive in the future. Miss Lu, why should you be angry? My teammates only made rude words because they were worried about my condition. I apologize to you instead of him. He endured it for that glimmer of hope. The face of the person who spoke was embarrassed and moved, and he decided to be loyal to Yan Jun. He also secretly decided that if Lum Wan could treat the young master well, he would thank her for being a cow and a horse. If the treatment was not good, he would definitely not give her good fruit to eat. Lum Wan turned around and looked at Yan Jun, who had a dull expression but couldn't bear it, with a smile on his brows, able to bend and stretch. It's a person. When my spiritual pet returns, the treatment can begin. Yan Jun looked at her in surprise and asked, "You mean you can treat me in a while?" "Certainly. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant." Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 258. Lum Wan has been observing the movements of Bingji with his mental power. Although he believes in his ability, he is also afraid of any accidents. Bingji usually commits the second offense. From time to time, he is a fool, and he will be lazy when he cultivates, but because he is the descendant of the Qingluan mythical beast, his bloodline is pure, and his talent is natural, so his own strength and supernatural powers are good. Sure enough, after a while, a blue ice Luan bird came back with a yellow and white devil-spotted tiger that had lost its life. "Master, master, I'm back." As soon as the ice halberd flew to the lake, he threw the corpse of the tiger on the ground, his eyes shining brightly to Lum Wan. Lum Wan took out a bottle of 3rd grade medicinal pills and threw a few in the past. "You did a good job." Bingji swallowed the medicinal pill in his mouth a few times, and he still looked like he was still unfinished, thinking about the 4th grade medicinal pill that the master said he would refine. The behavior of one person and one beast stunned Yan Jun and others. "Miss Lu, are you taking the 3rd grade elixir for your spiritual pet?" As soon as Yan Jun poured out the elixir from Lum Wan, he smelled the fragrance of the 3rd grade elixir. Lum Wan said indifferently, "Yes." "What's wrong?" Since she was able to refine a variety of 3rd grade medicinal herbs, she has no 2nd grade medicinal herbs on her body. When her cultivation base enters the high-level Sword Queen, her condensed fire energy will be able to refine 4th grade medicinal herbs. Yan Jun and the others couldn't help but twitch the corners of their mouths. He said with a smile, "Can you let the medicine pill down for a look? I'll give you a few. It's a gift for your 100,000 spirit stones." Lum Wan took out a bottle of Huiling pill and a bottle of Peyuan pill and threw them away. Yan Jun took the bottle and poured out the 2 medicinal herbs contained in it. One was pure white and the other was pale yellow. He leaned to the tip of his nose and smelled it, and his eyes showed surprise. "This medicinal pill is like nourishing chi pill and condensing essence pill, but it feels a little different." Lum Wan's beautiful eyes flashed a bit of admiration. "These 2 medicinal pills have similar effects to Qi Yang pill and Ning Yuan pill. However, my spirit recovery pill can be used by sword masters with sword emperor cultivation. A single tablet can restore at least 2/3 of the original energy in the body, and the cultivating Yuan Dan can not only improve one's cultivation, but also cultivate one's original essence. The efficacy of these two medicinal pills is better than that of Danlu's Qi Raising Pill and Ning Yuan Pill. As an elite disciple of the big family, Yan Jun can naturally distinguish the grade of medicinal pills at a glance. The 4 pills that Lum Wen took out were all 3rd grade high-grade pills, and even a 4th grade alchemist might not be able to refine such high-grade pills. That's natural. The condensing origin pill in the pill building can improve the cultivation level but cannot strengthen the cultivation base. On the basis of the condensing origin pill, my cultivation level can be stabilized. Lum Wen paused and said, and Pei Yuan Dan can make Yuan Li more pure without taking it for a long time. About 10 pills can be effective. It actually has such an effect. Yan Jun was dubious in his heart, but judging from the grades of Dang Xiang and Dan, they did surpass Qi Yang Dan and Ning Yuan Dan. Lum Wen chuckled and raised her eyebrows slightly. If you don't believe me, you can try one now. Anyway, most of the Yuan force in your body is now depleted. I guarantee you will recover after taking 1 pill. Yan Jun couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth again. It wasn't that he had a problem, and now he was taking this kind of elixir that instantly replenished his energy. Such elixir was a means of saving his life. That's not necessary, let's wait for a critical time in the future. As you like. After speaking, Lum Wen swept the surrounding environment, pointed to the direction of the tigress before Fiji and said, I'll treat you now. If I'm out for a long time, I'm afraid other people will be worried. Then she put away the body of the demon-spotted tiger on the ground, which was the trophy of the ice halberd. Seeing her confident look, Yan Jun pursed his lips and said, okay. Since he agrees to her treatment, let's give it a try. Even if the cure is not good, he will not embarrass her for the sake of these pills. A few people found the tigress's cave in the dense forest by the lake. Lum Wen looked around and found some spar and a few golden iron leaves, and smiled, and put it away in front of Yan Jun and others. Jinchumwei is a good thing, and it is rare in the world of cultivating immortals, and I don't know where the tigress got it. Yan Jun and others didn't intervene. After all, the tigress was killed by Lum Wen's spiritual pet, so they naturally wouldn't take it by force. Moreover, the 6th order Ice Luen mythical beast can kill the 7th order monster, which also makes them very afraid. The tigress's Dongfu Lum Wen was quite satisfied, but she didn't like the smell of tigers. She took out a pink pill, squeezed it gently, and a faint fragrance wafted out, and after a while, the stinky smell in the cave disappeared. Seeing that she took out the medicinal herbs and pills so skillfully, a few people believed that she knew medical skills, but it was unknown whether it was as powerful as she said. A formation was arranged outside the cave, and Lum Wen said to Yan Jun, take off your clothes. Cough cough. Yan Jun suddenly heard her undressing with embarrassment on his face. Is this necessary for medical treatment? If he hadn't known that she was going to treat him, he would have thought she was going to imitate the tigress and want to molest him. Lum Wen rolled his eyes at him. Nonsense, it's just your thin body that makes me look down on this girl. Yan Jun couldn't help laughing and laughing. Isn't his figure very standard? Where did you lose weight? Yan Jun's 5 teammates couldn't help but hold back their laughter. This woman named Lum Wen is really funny. Because of the need for medical treatment, although Yan Jun felt embarrassed, he still took off his shirt to reveal his strong upper body. Lum Wen sat behind him, stretched out his hand and poked at wool. I didn't expect you to look thin, so it's surprising to take it off. Yan Jun's face darkened. Is he being molested? Lady Lu, let's start. There was a trace of suppressed anger in his voice. Lum Wen's lips raised an arc. She just wanted to arouse Yan Jun's slight anger, which would be more helpful for her to pinpoint the defect in her heart. Her little face became serious in an instant, and she formed a few seals one by one into Yan Jun's body, took out an elixir for him to take, and then used a gold needle to find the acupuncture point and stabbed it in. When the golden needle formed a shape similar to gossip, She stretched out her hands and gently stroked the back of the needle, and a little bit of spiritual power came out from her palm, and the spiritual power containing green mist was input into Yan Jun's body through the golden needle. 2 hours later, the tip of her nose and forehead were covered with a layer of fine sweat, and Yan Jun's pale face became much rosier. When Lum Wan treated him, it was not as painful as he imagined. Instead, a warm spiritual power baptized his heart over and over again, making him extremely comfortable. Lum Wan took out a recovery pill and took it. "I'll be here today, take care of it yourself, and continue tomorrow." Several people saw that she had to take Hui Lingdan in this situation, and couldn't help but scolded in their hearts, what a prodigal woman. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 259. On the third day, Lum Wan closed his eyes and used the spiritual power with green mist to repair the defect close to Yan Jun's heart. In the past 2 days, she had warmed his heart to prepare for repair. "I'm going to start repairing your heart next, you have to endure it again," Lum Wan said before the start. Yan Jun nodded, "Don't worry, I can bear it." After Lum Wan reminded him, he didn't say more. He cast the golden needle first to make his blood vessels go backwards, and the pressure of his heart continued to expand. Yan Jun's body trembled, and the pain from the backward blood vessels in his whole body made him grit his teeth tightly. This kind of pain is indeed more than before, but as long as his heart disease can be cured, he will not give up. Not long after, Yan Jun's red clothes were wet with sweat, and his face flushed abnormally. Fortunately, the other team members were kicked out by Lum Wan before she gave the needle, otherwise, seeing Yan Jun's appearance, she would definitely think she was making a fool of yourself. Yan Jun was in unbearable pain, and his whole body trembled, but with that firm perseverance, he still gritted his teeth. When the heart swelled to a certain size, it stopped automatically. Lum Wan probed his mental power to find the missing place, and immediately injected the green mist into his body, and continued to circulate and repair along the heart. Her hands were not idle, and she constantly changed the position of the golden needle to cooperate with the green mist to repair it. Most of the spiritual power in her body was quickly used up, and she took time to pour out a return to the spiritual pill to take and then heal. Time passed by little, and after 5 hours, the backward blood vessels returned to normal, the flushing on Yan Jun's face gradually faded, and his complexion returned to the ruddy of a normal person. The swollen heart shrunk back to its original size little by little, but with a little observation, you can see that the missing part of the heart has been filled in, and a layer of faint green energy surrounds it, nourishing the beating heart. Lum Wan pulled out the last golden needle, and only after finishing his work did he realize that his whole body was also wet with sweat. She secretly sighed. It seems that this method is still very labor-intensive, but as long as she enters the core formation stage, she will be able to relax a lot, and she still can't wait to improve her cultivation. After taking a pill, she sat cross-legged to recover her spiritual and physical strength. Yan Jun opened his tightly closed eyes, full of ecstasy. He used several great Zhou forces in his body and dantian, and found that his heart would no longer be weak and colic as if it couldn't bear the force. He knew that he was no doubt a normal person now. Your heart has only been repaired. In the past 3 days, you haven't used Yuanli for subtlety. Lum Wan noticed that Yan Jun was running Yuanli in her body, and frowned as a reminder. This man usually looks very stable, how can he not understand this kind of common sense? Yan Jun suffered from a fragile heart since he was a child. He couldn't help but be overjoyed when he was suddenly cured. Hearing Lum Wan's reminder, he immediately accepted Yuan Li. "Thank you for reminding me, I'm a little lost." Lum Wan ignored it and sat quietly to recover. Yan Jun stood up and moved his muscles, gave her a gentle look and walked out of the cave alone. When Yan Jun came out, several people waiting outside the cave quickly surrounded him. "Master, what's the matter?" Yan Jun's face was full of red light, but his inner excitement calmed down a lot. "My heart disease has been cured." "What? Great." The man who had asked Lum Wen for help had an excited look on his face. "I didn't expect that woman to have such skills." They were actually prepared for the failure of the healing outside the cave. Such a surprise was really great. Yan Jun's thin lips pursed a smile. "She is indeed quite unexpected." Not only was it unexpected but also hidden. He suspected that the third-grade medicinal herbs that Lum Wen didn't care about were made by herself. "Young master, what shall we do next?" one of them asked. Yan Jun stroked the position of the heart on his chest, and his face showed a rare tranquility. "Wait for her to rest before making plans. She is worthy of the Yan family's friendship. Based on her accomplishments in formations and pharmacists, it is indeed the best choice to befriend her," said a young man with few words among the five. "Well, I have a plan in my mind." The next day, Lum Wen opened his eyes and stood up and walked out of the cave. "Miss Lu, how are you recovering?" Yan Jun had been outside the cave, and when she saw her come out to show a smile, her indistinguishable handsome and evil face made the surrounding flowers dim and colorless. Lum Wen smiled and said, "It's almost there. Is there anything unusual about your body?" "No, I feel that after the heart is healed, the whole person is much more relaxed. The bottleneck that he had suppressed for a long time has also begun to loosen, and I believe that it will be able to impact Jian Zone in another month or two." "That's good." Yan Jun walked to Lum Wen and handed her a storage bag. "I only have 50,000 spirit stones on me right now. I'll pay you the remaining 50,000 when I get out of the competition space." "Okay." Lum Wen took the spirit stone unceremoniously. "This Yan Jun is really rich." "Miss Lu, I still owe you a favor. Do you need to cash it now?" Yan Junking leaned against the wall of the cave with a lazy expression. Lum Wen smiled and said, "I owe the favor first. I can't use it now." She had a feeling in her heart that she might be able to use Yan Jun's favor soon after she left the competition space. Later facts also proved that her sixth sense was indeed accurate. "Okay, just come to Yan Lai Empire to find me when you need it." Yan Jun also hoped that Lum Wen would owe her favor a little longer, so that he would have more time to have a good relationship with her. "Anything else for you?" "If not, I'm leaving." She had been out for a few days, and she wondered if Lum Yubai and others would be worried if they found out. Yan Jun pondered and said with a smile, "We are going to find a secret place to practice. I wonder if Miss Lu has any good suggestions." "No." Lum Wen answered decisively. She didn't want to go with the elite disciples of these superpowers, and it would be very troublesome for them to snatch the status jade. Yan Jun touched his nose. He seemed to be disliked, and it was the first time that a woman would refuse his closeness. Lum Wen was indeed a special woman. "Then let's look for it ourselves." He didn't force it, but he said again as if remembering something, "Miss Lu, can you sell us some of the Huiling pill and Puan pill you have?" "What did you buy it with?" She didn't forget that the man said that all the spiritual stones on his body had been given to her. "Yan Jun has a few more magic tools in his hand. How about using the sacred weapon with you?" Lum Wen swept the magic weapons in his hand. They were all primary sacred weapons, and the attacking ones were not too strong. Finally, his eyes fell on a small bell. "Is this bell a defensive sacred weapon?" "Yes, in fact, it can be defended and attacked. This clock can release the soul to attack the 3-breath time of sword masters of the same rank. If it is used well, it will be very useful in battle. It is the most satisfying piece of these holy weapons." Yan Jun, he smiled softly. Lum Wen saw that he looked at these sacred artifacts as if he were looking at his own children, and he knew in his heart that these sacred artifacts were all made by him. "My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world. BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant." Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 260. Lum Wan took Yan Jun's little bell in his hand and played with it, and found that an array was added to it. It turned out that the so-called soul attack was caused by the array. She found that Tianling continent uses the formation method in many places, even more perfect than the cultivation world, even if there are very few formation wizards here. You are also an array mage. Lum Wan shook the bell and looked at Yan Jun with a half smile. Yan Jun knew that she was not interested in other magic tools, so she put them away. I know a little bit. Mo Ling is a master of magic. It's really interesting that the soul attack formation is integrated into the defensive bell, she said with a light smile. You know how to refine weapons? Yan Jun asked in surprise. Lum Wan shook his head. I know something. How about this holy artifact? How about changing your medicine pill? Yan Jun asked with a smile. All right, how much do you want to change? This little bell was not very useful to her, but it could be given to his brother as a defensive magic weapon. Yan Jun thought about it and said, how about 5 each of Healing Pill and Cultivation Pill? The value of magic weapons and medicinal pills varies from person to person, and it is not a loss to exchange 10 third-grade medicinal pills for a holy weapon with a defensive belt. Deal. Lum Wan took out 2 white porcelain vases and threw them to Yan Jun. She had refined a lot of medicinal pills before. Seeing her so cheerful, Yan Jun couldn't help but ask, Miss Lu, how many third-grade pills have you refined? This sentence also implies a temptation. If Lum Wan answered directly, it would mean that these medicinal pills were indeed refined by her. Have I told you that I made these medicinal pills? After I gave you 10 pills, I didn't have much. Lum Wan shrugged in disapproval. If Yan Jun wants to trick her, she won't be fooled. That's really a pity. Yan Jun hooked his lips with a wicked smile. Miss Lu can find me if she wants to exchange medicinal herbs for spirit stones or magic weapons in the future. Our Yan family still has this resource. Okay, then I'll go first. See you in the final, Lum Wan said, looking at the sky. When Yan Jun has a heart attack, he can rush to the second place in the preliminary round. Now that the heart attack has been cured in the past 1 or 2 months and he has hit Jian zone, there is no suspense at all to enter the finals. Okay. When the finals are over, I'll go back to the Empire and give you the remaining spirit stones. Seeing that Lum Wan was so confident, Yan Jun knew that she had the means, and it was not difficult to rush into the finals. It's a deal, let's go. Lum Wan chuckled lightly, and disappeared at the entrance of the cave after taking a momentary step. Seeing her leaving, the mature and stable man behind Yan Jun said, she seems to be sure that she can rush to the finals. It's not that easy to compete for the purple jade card. Yeah. As far as I know, many people put their minds on her and Chu Han. After all, they were also rewarded with purple jade cards after entering the top 10, another man said. Yan Jun hooked his lips with a wicked smile. Maybe she would not want those people to snatch her. We just have to wait and see a good show. Lum Wan is a woman hidden too deeply, even he can't understand her, but he is looking forward to meeting her in the finals. I believe she will give people constant surprises. Hope it, because Lum Wan cured Yan Jun, the others had a better impression of her. When Lum Wan returned to the cave mansion opened in the wasteland, Lu Mubai and several others withdrew from the practice, and he was relieved to see her coming back. Yan'er, this is a second-class danger zone. If you go out and run around and encounter a 7th-order monster, it will be dangerous, Lu Mubai said with a little worry. Lum Wan's mind moved, and the 7th-order devil-spotted tiger appeared in the cave. Brother, I have already encountered a 7th-order monster. This is a corpse, so you don't have to worry about me. Several people were stunned when they saw the 7th-order monster that had no breath on the ground. Lum Wan was able to kill the 7th-order monster. This kind of progress was beyond their reach. After more than a month of practice, Ye King Han has broken through to the sword sect by integrating the Ye family's special practice. He just thought he could protect her, but she still worked hard to the front of him. He took a deep breath. He had to work hard. Your cultivation effect during this period of time is good, and you have made breakthroughs. Lum Wan swept a few people and smiled. Yunzimo's cold and hard Jun's face softened a lot, with gratitude in his tone. It's because of your medicinal pill that we can advance so quickly. Lum Wan gave them 10 Pe1 pills by themselves before their retreat, which made them stunned, and at the same time, their cultivation base was also firmly promoted. He has a good impression of Lum Wan, but he knows that such a woman is not something he can control at all, even if it is side by side. Her achievements will not be limited to the eastern region. After this Tianling continent contest for hegemony, she will have a wider space for display. He can only silently hide that good feeling, and blessing her is enough. Okay, don't be humble. Are you going to continue retreat or go out to compete for the Jade card? Lum Wan asked with a smile. I'll improve my cultivation level during the retreat for a period of time. Now it's hard to meet sword masters from other countries when I go out, Yunzimo replied. The swordsmen from all countries who entered the semi-finals were basically cultivating in the first 3 months. It was a waste of time for them to go out. It is better to hurry up and improve their cultivation now, and wait for a place in the melee 2 months later. Lum Wan nodded. Your choice is right. Mu Yan, what are your plans? Ye King Han always felt that she would not obediently practice in the cave until 2 months later. Although this area is dangerous, there are quite a lot of spirit grass and spirits. I want to find it while practicing. I am used to practicing in battle, so that I can also advance. Lum Wan added with a smile, while you are cultivating, you can also go nearby to challenge some monsters that are higher than your own. This will not only improve your cultivation faster, but also have stronger combat experience. Okay, what she said was what they thought, but if they went out with her, it would only be a drag, and they could only let her act alone. Lum Wan and a few people chatted for a while and began to retreat again. She took 10 Pe1 pills and rushed her cultivation to the high-level sword sovereign before it began to stabilize. A month later, she left the cave. Master, are we going to challenge the 7th order monster in the mountains? Bingji looked excited. The crystal nucleus of the tigress, Lum Wan, was refined into an elixir. After taking it, the demon power in his body became much stronger. If he used more crystal nucleuses of the 7th order monsters to refine the elixir, he believed that the seal would be unlocked. After that, he will be able to level up to the peak of the 8th order. Miao Miao and Shui are also looking forward to it. Their cultivation speed is astonishingly fast with the help of medicinal pills. Miao Miao is now in the late 6th order stage, and her blood has also reached the peak of the 6th order. As long as she consumes the blood of 2 7th order monsters, she can advance. This is one of the reasons why Lum Wan is dispatched now. Of course, this is our inexhaustible resource pool, and below is our battlefield. Lum Wan flashed a brisk smile and entered the depths of the forest.